Hello. My name is Ryan Warswick, and I'm here to report back on today's SIG, which is a common interest group, a thing that we run through the Seattle Music Teachers Association. And I've decided to start making these videos after the fact because we always talk about such neat stuff, but not everybody's able to join us, and seems merely kind to share. So today, some things that we talked about. One problem that came up for somebody was that they were having trouble logging into Zoom. And as it turned out, it was happening when they were trying to join a meeting. And so the biggest thing to be aware of there is that if you try and log into a meeting and you find that it's asking you for an email rather than a meeting ID, chances are you need to log in. And we weren't exactly able to pin down why that happens. There's a good chance that it's got something to do with the updates. Perhaps when you update, it's something where it breaks out of whatever account you're in and you just need to get back in there. But easier solved than we might have thought at first. Some other stuff that we talked about today that was pretty, straightforward enough to solve were things like, how do we change our profile pic? So for instance, if I go over here and I share my screen, and let's say we go doot. Now I can open up Zoom windows, and again, we can see my Zoom windows basically because of a decision that I've made in the settings, specifically this one right here. So in case any of you are ever trying to show anybody else anything that's in Zoom and related to a Zoom window and you can't see them, just make sure you go over here and click this. Otherwise, if you want to set a profile picture, go back there real quick, come back, monster. We go in here and we can go and click on My Profile, and it'll bring up the Zoom website, which has all sorts of little information here, but basically this picture part right there is the relevant one. And for that, just change it. Put something in there, whatever you like, and that should set you up. No paywall or nothing. Outside of that, we talked about, in general, sharing screen in Zoom. So you just saw me do it that way. It came up in the context of a few things. On the one hand, we talked about just how to share video. And you can do it from something like YouTube or from the internet. But personally, I find it a little more reliable if I open it up in a program on Zoom. So to show what that looks like, or what I mean by that, I'm going to share my screen first. And then if we look at what's going on in this share, so originally it would have just shown up like this. I click here again. I click here again. There we are. And you can see it brings up my collection of things that I'm able to pick from. And in general, that collection of things is going to correspond very precisely with what's open. So you can see in the bottom left-ish area, there's this little bar under Firefox, so that's telling me that it is open, and you see that it pops up here. So where this matters is if I click on this guy and then go over here and click share, suddenly, well not suddenly, but there we are, what you're going to see is just that window. So I can, on my side, I can do all sorts of other things, you won't see any of it. You'll only see what's going on in Firefox. Versus if you do a full screen share, like this, then you see every single thing that's happening on the screen. So if I open up something else, you see that. If I go back, you see that. And that's just something useful to be aware of in case you have a messy desktop or you have something else that you just want to be able to really focus the attention. Secondarily, when we're in here, if you're going to share a video, and this is the important part, you might want to open it up ahead of time, and then it'll pop up here like that. And most relevant of all is you're going to want to click these boxes along the bottom. If you click the one on the right, optimize screen sharing for video clip, it's going to do both of them for you. If you don't, if you go from the share computer sound side first, you'll have to click both. Either way, it's what will keep your videos from being choppy and weird and the sound from cutting out when you share it. So again, you would just want to make sure that you went to YouTube and you found the video you meant to find, and then from there you share. Or you open it up in Windows Media Player, and from there you share. So I can actually even show you here. We go in, go real quick to my documents and into my piano file, and then I can go over to whatever, Ryan Photos and Videos, and you can see, we'll do it with a picture just for the sake of it. But now you see everything that's going on. This is what I was talking about earlier. Now if I stop share, so we're back, and I share screen again so you can see what I'm doing as I'm sharing. Now you see that this pops up under Photos. So now if I click this, and then I share that, all that's going to populate the screen is this program. That's that same kind of idea. If we were to do it with a video, let's see here, get that open. The sound on this video is going to be poor, but only because I didn't have the equipment to record well at that point. But the idea should be obvious. So again, sharing screen so you can see. And let's see here. And give me one sec here, folks. Thank you. So, for some reason that hasn't populated there. Well, that's just the sort of treachery that you would expect. Maybe if I stop share here now that it's open, sharing screen again. Well, devilish. In general, that will work. I'm not quite sure why it's arguing with me here. I'll try one last thing, see if I can't get that to work, and we'll give it a rest otherwise. Okay, at the very least, here, we'll look at this. For whatever reason, mine is arguing with me, but at the very least you can see that if I click down here, having opened my File Explorer, looking for a video, that populates in there again. So I promise that works. Just make sure to click these buttons at the bottom. What else did we talk about? We talked about how you can play games. So we came up with sort of two basic ideas, and there's sort of whiteboard-based games, which might be drawing-based or might be really dependent on filling this in or, you know, calling it out in shapes and things like that, recognizing things. You know, what clef is this? You know, what note is this? Drawing it in. And then there's polling. Now, polling is something where you have to have a paid version to do it. But if you have a paid version, and here I'll share screen again so you can see what's going on, then you can pull up these cool polls. And so this is one that I've made for the common interest group that I do with the SMTA, and so we can kind of organize our conversations when there's lots of us. But you could also have, as an example for games, something like this. So, for instance, I might want to ask my students in the context of a group class or something, say, what note is that? Or, what note is that? Or, what note is that? And you could ask them to go along and fill in the answers as they go. And if I did, as the person giving it, I might say, see that. And I have another thing logged in, so I was able to answer the poll, but I would see these things as they produce. And so I could judge whether or not they were getting it correctly. You can also use it, if you imagine it, as something that could organize like group composition. You could say, present that same poll and let them pick a chord, you know, or say that they're picking chords. And say, okay, well, if everybody picked A, so there we are. And then you wanted to go to B, which feels a little odd harmonically, but that works, I guess. And then C was the next option. Well, let's try and keep it maybe close to key signature, so we'll go to C sharp. Or there. And end up there. So harmonics aside, you get the idea that you could use it as this sort of prompt for a game. And then that's, looking at it, most of what we went over. We talked a little bit about Rock Out Loud, but not enough to share. Suffice to say, it's worth some attention. But yeah, hopefully this was useful to you on any level, or you found out something you didn't know. And if you're a member of the SMTA and you want to come join us, please do. And if you're just out there on the internet, I wish you the best of luck. We're all learning a lot these days. Take care. Ryan signing off.